I gotta fuck with you. I gotta fuck with you. I gotta fuck with you. Yeah. Hey. How Shembe, how the author became the pride of heaven. And this is what I'm trying to point out. Mind your language, by the way. Let's jump into it. I am not tripping, guys. I am not tripping. I just explained the anti-doctrine. The anti-doctrine is literally saying the spirit of the Creator chose one of his sons and had a bride and groom relationship with one of his sons. Chose one of them and says, yo man, I'm going to come in your name. You prepare a place for me. And I'll come like a bride to answer your prayer. And this is what Shembe did. This is how Shembe became the groom of heaven. He started the Nazareta movement because he made a place for the true God to come and show up. I explained as well that the true God is actually the spirit that inspired the writings of the Bible, not necessarily the characters of the Bible. This is a mistake that a lot of people of faith make, right? But, however, what we look at is the fact that the characters in the Bible reveal who the author is, and what he's trying to achieve. So the best way to describe who the author is would be calling the author Jehovah. So Jehovah would basically, the author of the Bible would basically best describe himself as Jehovah. And why I'm pointing this out is because by the time I realized and I read the Bible long enough, there was a point in time where I realized, God damn, God has been trying to become the Son of Man. The moment I realized, I remembered, hang on, this is exactly why the story was put down, so that some Son of Man would be crazy enough to become Jehovah. Become Jehovah in the sense, become the character in the book that is the custodian of life, who's finally found a way to become the king of his people, the king of his covenant people. And this is what I'm trying to point out. But how was this process? What was the process? The process was basically, which is opposite from like what Isaiah Shembe went through. Isaiah Shembe was trying to be like Jesus as much as possible, who in the Bible is called the groom of heaven. And because he would desire to have the Spirit of God come into him, he desired to fuck with the Holy Spirit, as described in the Holy Spirit. He desired that so much that he became the groom of heaven. And my point is that the spirit of the original author was like, hey man, you've peeped game and you've responded. You really want to fuck with me? I fuck with you too, dog. I'm going to come in your name, nigga. So there's a point where Shembe reads the literature, right, and has a relationship with the characters in the literature and tries to be like the characters in the literature in pursuit of the main character in the literature, which is the spirit of the Creator. The desire of Shembe was to receive the spirit of the Creator. However, through the literature, he doesn't receive the spirit of the character in the book. He receives the spirit of the spirit that inspired the writings. So that spirit is the one that put down the literature, so that one of the sons of God will show up and be like, man, I want to be the groom of heaven. You get what I mean? And Shembe was the one that put his hand up. So if you were to make analogies, is basically saying like the true God, the God of heaven had his two spirit sons. Now the God of heaven puts down this literature over the centuries, preparing it so that when his two sons start to get born into the world and start to show up in the world, he's going to basically test them and see which one of those two sons will respond to his literature. You get what I mean? And the ones, so God writes a love letter and somebody's got to reply, right? So the author, the spirit of the author, who's the true God, writes this love letter throughout the centuries, and the true son that responded was Isaiah Shembe. And to put it into context, the Zulu people were probably the last people to get a translation of the Bible. This is in the 1800s, 1850s. For the first time, the Zulu language is being written down. written down for the first time. So, Shembe received pretty much the first translations of the Bible that were made particularly to get the message that was originally in Greek and Hebrew to a Zulu man. And the Zulu man was the first one to be like, I see what you're trying to say to me, dog. I see what you're trying to say to me, dog. Like, I get you. I fuck with you. I gotta fuck with you. I gotta fuck with you. Yeah. My body on ya. My body, ooh, ooh. My body on ya. And nigga, you, yeah. My body on ya. Hey. My body, ooh, ooh. My body on ya. Nigga, you, yeah. So this is what the process is. The process has been, the literature is there to inspire the spirits when they're being tested in the world. And the test of every spirit is being born into the world, forgetting your past life, being born into the world and seeing how you do as a man. So Shembe was a man that showed himself when he's born into the world. He showed himself to actually give a fuck and actually want to have the spirit, want to receive the spirit of the Creator. And because of that, he does receive the spirit of the original author, the intention behind the whole writing. To say, hey man, this is why I wrote this down. It was a test actually to see who would throw me yes. Right? Who would throw me yes. Right? Not literally, my bad. Who would throw me yes. So what I'm trying to point out here, this is the conundrum with the Bible. So the Bible is like a test for a spirit. When the spirit shows himself and demonstrates that he really fucks with the personalities in the story, that's when the spirit meets the real person behind the story, which is the author. Now, in this case now, like I'm saying, the original author is born into the world and he forgets his past life. Now he knows exactly what he's living like a man. So I'm a person that lived like a man my whole life, and I battled with the idea of mortality. It's like, imagine having an infinite mind and you can perceive, you can conceive eternity. You can actually kind of figure out what you'd be doing. If you're alive forever, you would have, a lot of things to do in forever. You wouldn't, you know what I mean? You know what you would do with forever. So imagine knowing what you would do with forever, but having a mortal life where you could die at any moment. And this was traumatic. And this is where I fell in love with the Bible, because the Bible ends with the paradise on earth and living forever and ever in the presence of the true God. Right? What a wonderful idea. Right, but then in between, there's this personality called Jesus who defeats death, and I fall in love with this guy. I'm like, God damn. So, obviously, I give up on the fact that I'm going to be like Jesus, because I'm not born of a virgin and anything like that. So, I'm like, nah, but I can help you, Jesus. I can throw you ass. And that's how I prove myself to be who I am, which is the bride of heaven. Alright. This is how I prove myself to be who I am. The bride of heaven. So, please apologies that I put the wrong marker up there. Alright. So, because right now, I'm just going to show you guys where we are. We are here at how the author became the bride of heaven. So, it is through this process that I meet the groom of heaven, Isaiah Shembe, through the Amanazareta movement. I meet Amanazareta, and they telling me about this guy that lived 100 years ago, who came through and said, "No, guys, come, Amanazareta, your king, Nkosi yasePhakameni, is umakoti wasezulwini, is the bride of heaven." Is the bride of heaven. Come, follow him. He is your king. He is your God. Right. And now I hear about this man. I'm like, oh, so this man was real. It was a real person. It's not just a story about some fiction. There was a real person that came along, lived on this earth, and became the groom of heaven. What do we mean by this? Became a person that made the way for the coming king, who would be a son of man that would become the Christ or the Messiah. And I'm like, goddamn, thank God you came through. And this is where I have to say I lost my family, I lost everything, because I made the claim that, hey man, hey guys, I'm Jehovah God, man. Jehovah lives, check my nickel, what it is, way. Deal. And people obviously thought I was mad, because all I'm saying is that I discovered the fact that if there's anybody that's qualified to become Jehovah, I'm that nigga. I am absolutely qualified. Not the guy born of a virgin in the Bible. No, I am actually qualified. The day I realized that, oh damn, that's the point. Yeah, this is why these people have been hiding this from us. This is why they fabricated all these doctrines that Jesus went away to heaven and is going to come back like Superman or something. That's why they did all of that, to hide the fact that the true God will be a son of a man. So I was like, I'm a son of a man. Check. I wasn't born of a virgin. Check. I got the attitude of the motherfucker. Check. I'm throwing Jesus' ass. Check. I'm the bride of heaven. Check. You know what I mean? That's how I came to the conclusion. So I'm extremely pleased with the fact that Shembe had come, and what I described myself as the was and coming king. And because the realization was that I've definitely done this before. I've definitely come and done this before. Made the statement that the King of the Jews, Jehovah, is coming to reestablish this little kingdom. The King of the Jews, Jehovah, is coming to establish this little kingdom. The land of milk and honey is umbuso wezulu that we are creating. The heaven that we're looking for is here on earth. That's the kingdom that we're going to be implementing. It's not the first time I've done this. And why I'm saying this is that Isaiah Shembe came about 100 years ago in preparing people to say, look, the guy's coming through. Like a bride, he will come and answer your prayer. Like a bride, he will come and answer my prayer. And this is what I got to say. So I hope you guys appreciate what I've shared. This is basically how the author became the bride of heaven. So what I'm trying to say is that there's a difference between the characters in the story and the author. And what I'm pointing out now is that there were two real persons that were responsible for this: the original author that consecrated the writings, and the spirit of that son that responded to that and became the groom of heaven. And now it's the same two spirits that are leading the way in terms of saying, hey guys, let us re-implement what was heaven on earth. Let us re-establish God's true covenant people. Let's attach the rest of the world to this people, and let us live in that paradise on earth. And what I want to point out, let me just go to my notes. Just give me a second. Let me go to my notes. What I'm trying to point out here is this. What's been consummated is that the original author is the spirit behind everything. Shembe comes along as a son of God and reveals the name of Jehovah, or the name of the main character, the name of the original author. And he gives him as a bride, like a bride, in Nkosiyasek Pagameni comes to respond to Shembe's prayer. And this is why Shembe can say, he is the way. That's why if you pay attention, Shembe will say, I'm the way. Shembe is the way. That's how he can say that. It's because he's literally preparing a way for people to actually understand who the true God is. And the true God will come like a bride, and he's depicted as in Nkosiyasek Pagameni, like a bride coming to answer the prayer of Amanazareth. So I'm going to jump into that in the next video, and I hope you guys understand this. let's enjoy. Hope you guys enjoy.